Hey guys, I hadn't planned to do a video on this subject, but I've been getting so many comments about this molecule stuff lately that I thought it would probably be more productive to just make a small video explaining my views on the subject rather than, just repeating myself over and over again in the comments. So yeah, this is just going to be a short little video on where the molecule thing came from and how I personally feel about it. So, I'm sure as most of us know, Charmed is a show created by Constance M. Burge about three sisters, and she actually used her own real-life sisters as inspiration to bring them to life.
In fact, the Halliwell sisters of Charmed are actually based on the real-life sisters of show creator Connie Burge.
I have two older sisters, and my older sister Laura is very strong, very driven, and so I attributed the characteristics that my sister Laura has to the character of Prue. The middle sibling typically tends to be a real people pleaser and very funny, tends to deal with life with a lot of humor. That really applied to my sister Edie, and so I could see the character of Piper. Phoebe was honestly the easiest. I just drew from within.
Anyway, these three sisters find out they're witches, and Constance did a massive amount of research into witchcraft as she was writing the characters and building her vision for the show.
So I bought an inordinate amount of books on the history of witchcraft, everything I could find.
And in the pilot she, the creator, wrote, we find out that the sisters' magic has been passed down their family line from their ancestor, Melinda Warren, who practiced three powers. The power to see the future, the power to move things with her mind, and to stop time.
I'm serious. She practiced powers, three powers. She could move objects with her mind, see the future, and stop time.
And in the same episode, those same powers are described as three essentials of magic: timing, feeling, and the phases of the moon.
It said something about there being three essentials of magic: timing, feeling, and the phases of the moon.
And throughout the first two seasons, we continue to see their powers presented in the same way, as the power to see the future / premonitions, the power to move things with your mind, also known as telekinesis, and the power to stop or freeze time, which has also been referred to as temporal stasis.
Chef Moore?
Now, it's important to note that these first two seasons both had a lot of involvement from the creator of the show, Constance M. Burge, so it tracks that the girls' powers followed the original design during this time. Even when the girls' powers started to grow and expand, they were always connected back to their established Warren power. For example, Phoebe has the power to see the future, but also learns to see the past as well, and even begins to feel the emotions of the events she foresees.
You said Matthew came out of the locket? I think I just saw Melinda put him in.
You saw the past?
But you only see the future.
Not anymore. I didn't just see it, Prue. I felt it. Her pain, her terror.
And this could definitely be laying the groundwork for Phoebe's future power of empathy, which in my opinion already kind of aligns with Phoebe's personality and abilities and her character in general.
My baby. You feel it all, don't you?
And there's Prue, who originally could only access her power when she was upset, and though she learns to use it actively rather quickly, she can only channel it through her eyes.
How did she do that?
Not like her ancestors. She channels her power through her eyes, not her hands.
Her power grows and she learns to channel it through her hands and even learns to astral project because, as Prue explains,
Maybe, if I can move things with my mind, why not my body?
And then you have Piper, who can originally only freeze time within a very small range and for a small length of time, but as her powers grow, she gains more control over them, allowing her to freeze time for longer periods, selectively unfreeze something in the room, and even channel her power one-handed and or with other objects in hand, which is something even her mother Patty couldn't do, as Patty had to physically set down the cables on the dock in order to freeze Sam. And even when they saw their future selves in the season 2 episode Morality Bites, their powers hadn't grown at random. They were still expansions of their established Warren abilities, with Piper being able to freeze pretty much everything around her in a wide area, even though she's outside and there's much more to freeze.
Okay, apparently my power isn't the only one that's grown. You just froze.
Everything! What a difference a decade makes.
And future Prue can not only move a horde of items at once, but her heightened emotions at the time even cause her to move them so fast that there's even something of a blast effect as well as a shockwave.
I mean, what if it's lost? What if we can't find it? Then we're stuck in our future bodies with no way of getting out of them and no way of saving Phoebe.
And then future Phoebe seems to have developed some sort of ability to use psychic energy as a weapon. So in the Morality Bites episode, we got to see what 10 years did to the girls' powers and the way they were intended to progress. And even in present day, they would pick up on it when something about their powers didn't seem right. Like when Phoebe can pretty much materialize at will when she's possessed by the Wookiee in season 1, to which Prue said,
Wait a second, time out. Our powers are supposed to progress, not grow at random. And if it did grow, I would think that it would at least be premonition-esque.
But as I said, this was all during the first 2 seasons while Constance was still in control. In season 3, that changed. We don't know too much about what happened behind the scenes, but from what we do know, there was some sort of internal power struggle, and Constance, who created the frickin' show based on her own family, somehow lost, and Brad Kern, whose reputation precedes him, won, causing Constance to leave the show by the end of that season. And that's how we got season 3, where I guess the writers, and by the writers I'm sure we can guess which one, decided to hell with the Warren lineage we've been building on for 2 years. We're gonna do exactly what we want. So Phoebe immediately got a levitation power in the first episode. Which never made much sense to me, but she did kind of float in the future we saw in Morality Bites, so who knows, it could actually go either way. But then we have Piper, who the writers decided to give an exploding power for whatever reason, which they have Leo justify as...
They're not, they're advancing. Turns out your powers work by slowing down molecules, and apparently now you can speed them up as well.
And for whatever reason, there is a branch of the Charmed fandom who not only took that line and ran with it, and we're talking full-on touchdown. It was not a field goal. They went all the way. But now they also try to apply it to every power they can. Piper's power? Oh, that's not stopping time or temporal stasis. It's molecular immobilization. And now she has molecular combustion as well. And her past self, P. Baxter, oh, she didn't just have a weaker version of the Warren power of stopping time. That was molecular deceleration. I've also heard the elemental powers of the cousins referred to as molecular inhibition and Prue's telekinesis as molecular manipulation. And it's like... oh my gosh, please, just stop. Don't get me wrong, everyone is allowed to have their opinion and believe what they want, and in fact I think life would be very boring if we all agreed on everything, but I do take issue with it when people have an opinion and they feel their opinion is the right one, so people who don't agree with them or want to use their terminology are wrong. And in the case of the molecule stuff, a lot of people who buy into that whole thing, they're constantly trying to correct other people. Like, you can't say that Piper's power was stopping or freezing time without at least one person coming up to tell you that, oh no, that was a molecular immobilization, not stopping time. I just think it's really weird that some people want to throw away 2.5 years worth of character building, world building, and stuff like that because of one throwaway line Leo made in one episode that the writers just threw in there to justify giving Piper a power they knew didn't make sense. And you know, people can overrun the wikis. Remember, Wikipedia pages can be edited by anyone and say whatever they like, but the vast majority of us just want to enjoy a show we love about magic and 3 sister witches and never asked for a scientific explanation or correction to what we were being told for 2 whole seasons. But, you know, just for argument's sake, what Leo actually said was that Piper's powers worked by affecting molecules. He never said that was her power, full stop. There are many things in the world that operate a certain way because of a certain mechanism, but that does not give them the mechanism's label by default. For example, A clock. A clock works by turning a series of gears, but we don't call that a gear turner, we call it a clock because for the most part we describe things by their title and not their function. Similarly, Piper's power is still the power to stop time. Leo was just explaining how that works. And I'm getting a headache, so I'm going to stop there, but I hope this helps explain my views on the whole molecule debate. At the end of the day, I just see it as a symptom of bad writing, but like I said, if you want to believe it, there's nothing wrong with that. But the powers were established to us a certain way, and it was built up that way for several seasons, so if we want to use that terminology, then there's nothing wrong with that either. Anyway, that's all I have to say on the subject. Like I said, I've just been getting a lot of comments about this in the past few weeks, so I hope everyone knows that I'm not trying to single anyone out specifically. I just thought it would be helpful to have a place to direct future comments so I don't have to keep repeating myself. If that makes sense. It's almost 3 o'clock in the morning here. I don't feel like I'm making much sense anymore. And I don't know if you can hear it, but my voice keeps trying to give out. So I'm gonna go. Thank you so much for watching and for everything you guys do. And I hope you have a wonderful day or night wherever you are. Bye.